So when you go from a position of blame and pointing the finger, there's always two pointing back at you. And so that's the law of the mirror, where things are just reflecting back to you. So if you're succeeding and secure and winning in things, it's just as important to become aware and conscious of that so that you can repeat that and hold on to those things. And even within holding on to those things, there can become dysfunctions and deficiencies, because what serves you now at 25 versus 35 versus 45 versus 55 and beyond, there's a whole mixture of things that are constantly changing. And that's the only thing that's guaranteed is change.
Welcome to the second edition of Remember You. We're happy to have you today, where you unlearn everything you've learned in the past about finance, mindset, and health. Today, we're going to interview Justin, and we're very excited to have you here.
Likewise.
One of our co-podcast hosts, Justin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing now?
So I'm a strength and mindfulness coach, to put it in perspective with people who just understand what a strength coach is and what a personal trainer is or nutrition coach. I work in all those fields, but in addition to that, it's bringing in more of a holistic practice with mindfulness, which I would define as self-awareness, right? So looking at all perspectives, not just physical, but mental, emotional, spiritual aspects of yourself, and developing that. And everybody's a unique puzzle piece for what they got going on in life. Whether you're an athlete or an executive or business owner, or just trying to figure out how to improve yourself in any way, shape, or form, I take it from a perspective of fitness and movement, lifestyle, self-talk, how you see yourself, self-image, psychology, and then the spiritual and mystical component. So the esoteric, the internal knowing, and the, I would say, even ancient philosophies. If you're familiar with Carl Jung or familiar with Alan Watts, I definitely take that type of approach with communicating with clients and looking at things from a deeper, more internal perspective. So I really look at the law of the mirror, how reality really is just a reflection of our own thoughts and our own perspectives. And that translates into so many different avenues, which I'm sure we'll get into. But that's a brief explanation of what I do personally or professionally. And personally, I'm a father. I have a 14-year-old son. And beyond that, I am 38 years old myself. I've been in the fitness and health industry for just short of 18 years professionally. So it's what I've always done, from working in a gym to being a personal trainer to then working my way up into management, and then going off on my own in-home training to then running a self-sustaining program that I've been running for the past 10 years or so, working with clients one-on-one, both online and in person. And it's been just as much self-work as it has been working with clients. And that usually is what I find with everybody that I work with, is the self-work develops the self-worth, which then develops themselves personally and professionally. It's cyclical. So everybody has deficiencies, dysfunctions, unconscious patterns and programs, which is what Remember You is all about, right? Identifying these unconscious patterns and really just remembering what we've been instilled with since the beginning, right? And deprogramming old beliefs, limiting beliefs, things that we've been programmed with from childhood and beyond. And it's been just a practice of finding what the root causes to things. And so I've done that with metabolics and nutrition, from nutritional deficiencies, using advanced functional labs to identify food intolerances and nutrient deficiencies, to chemical or metabolic stressors such as like mold toxicity, heavy metals, leaky gut, leaky blood-brain barrier, sleep disturbances or disorders, environmental disorders or stressors. And then, that dives into relationships. And then there's the movement side of things, where strength coaching comes in, is really becoming more physically aware of movement, of your maybe unconscious patterns that may be causing pain or contributing to pain. When it comes to athletes, it's improving their physical performance. But again, I approach them the same way as I do with an executive or business owner, where we're finding out the other aspects of their lives where they may be limited or dysfunctional in, and then bringing light to that. And there's a multitude of therapies that I dive into, very holistic practice, which really just means looking at it from all those perspectives that I mentioned earlier, from physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So,
and going back to the holistic part, I remember the last podcast you mentioned playing football.
mm-hmm.
So because you had the experience of playing football in college, I guess high school,
Yeah.
you have experience of how maybe your mindset affected your ability to deal with other teammates, maybe coaches, and just the way you presented yourself and the way you were able to play in the game. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, my biggest quote unquote failures have been my greatest gains, where it's looking at getting the feedback and taking it as constructive criticism and going, okay, you end up finding that you're the center of it all. So when you go from a position of blame and pointing the finger, there's always two pointing back at you. And so that's what is the law of the mirror, where things are just reflecting back to you. So if you're succeeding and secure and winning in things, it's just as important to become aware and conscious of that so that you can repeat that and hold on to those things. And even within holding on to those things, there can become dysfunctions and deficiencies, because what serves you now at 25 versus 35 versus 45 versus 55 and beyond, there's a whole mixture of things that are constantly changing. And that's the only thing that's guaranteed is change. So it's being aware of what works now and being willing to release and change as you go forward. And that's where I find in the fitness space and the health space that people find something that works for them and they stick with it for years. And then it serves you in the beginning.
Relatable.
But yeah, totally. And it's, you got to learn how to balance both the yin and yang of things, the recovery, the rest, the peace. And then you also have to embrace the intensity and the strength and the power that comes along with it.
Yeah. I immediately think of, in your early 20s, you're doing like HIIT crazy, like HIIT workouts and keto and like just doing insane fasting and all this. And then 30s and above, it's like that is actually like totally working against you in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I've learned that the hard way coming out of sports and like into working out as adults.
That's
actually it was really frustrating.
Yeah, because you're doing the work.
Well, and it's like I don't know that it's totally common knowledge, because people are like, I'm working out, I'm tracking my macros, I'm drinking the water, I'm doing the things.
Yeah, and I'm still gaining weight.
And I'm like literally look like shit and feel like shit.
Yeah. And that's actually one of my questions. You don't have to give away like your secret sauce or anything, but can you
I'll give it all away. It's really
Can you kind of like walk me through what I would do as being one of your clients? Like, I know I love the quiz you have on your website, but like from start to finish, how do you work me through so that, say I'm coming to you and I'll give you a real life example. I cut out all these things. I've been on a very clean diet. Now I want to start to integrate some working out and just like keep these going so that I can, gain more toned muscle and feel better about myself, have a better mindset, all that. What would you do for me if I came to you as your client?
So it's all about finding out where you're at right now and then also identifying what the end result is, right? So you want to get at least a clear image of what it is that you do want. And then from there, assessing in multiple ways where you're actually at right now. So
like a baseline?
Yeah. So there's multiple ways to do that, and everybody's different. So some people are gung-ho about lab testing and finding out the metrics physiologically and going through blood testing and other forms. Other people are a little sketchy and and not into that. So there's like a baseline of people that I work with that you have to be open-minded enough to go into alternative ways of doing things.
Yeah.
Because it's oftentimes the case that you've done a lot of these things either on your own or with other professionals, doctors, et cetera, and don't really make any ground. Right. So I'm usually working with people that's part of the assessment, right? Is finding out where they're at mentally, and how open-minded they are.
Okay.
As my late mentor, Charles Poliquin, said, the mind's like a parachute. It only works when it's open.
Yep, that's right.
So you got to see where they're at in that regard, and also what their potential is for being open to things, right? So
So how do you do that?
So it's intuitive.
Okay.
A lot of it is intuitive, just being able to read somebody and feel somebody out. And
well, because you had so much, you've worked with so many people.
Yeah, it's just
there's gotta
years.
be patterns.
Yeah, there's so many years
little
of
flags that are like, oh, I've seen this before.
Yeah,
X, Y, Z.
idiosyncrasies, and you're like picking up little ticks and how people handle things, and also what they respond to. Some people, like a racehorse. Some racehorses like to be whipped.
Yeah.
And others ones like to be caressed and loved, right? So
that is a great visual.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like your, what was the other one about what you should eat?
Oh, yeah, I know you like that one. Yeah. Yeah. If it walks, swim, flies, or runs.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Glad to know we're going to be getting these visceral images.
Yes. But that really is like, that's part of the art of coaching, is implanting images or ideas. It is. It is a form of hypnosis.
So if I have an open mind, I'm good. Say I'm like, I'll give you a real life example. I love my cookies at 3 or, like I just love them. So I will do whatever I need to, have a blood test, whatever you tell me to get rid of that cookie, because I can't do it with my willpower. I've tried to hypnotize myself. I can't, what
kind of cookies?
I know, chocolate chip.
Can't you make a replica protein cookie or something?
No, because you know what? Even when I have dinner at night, I'm full, right? Yeah. But I still go and be like, if there's ice cream in the house or something sweet, I'll be like, I don't care. No one's watching me. I'm just going to take a bite of this. Now, I won't sit and eat the whole thing, but I'll take a few bites just to it's something in my head.
Yeah, it gives you some sort of satiation and comfort. And
but it does. And then
I just
lately,
imagine you in the kitchen, with the lights off and the fridge,
Where are you going, Christine?
So here's a real life example. So we had to cut all sugar out this last 2 weeks. I woke up at 2 a.m. and I knew that there was one cookie left, and I knew exactly where it was. And I thought to myself, you know what? No one's gonna know if I go get that cookie out of that room. I'm gonna go down there. I'm gonna eat that shit out of that cookie.
And then you said food is a drug,
especially
sugar is literally a drug.
It's profound how the impact on the body and how addictive it is. And the famous study with rats where they gave them cocaine and another batch of rats sugar they put it in water, and the rats were able to pick from cocaine infused or water infused with cocaine or with sugar, and they chose the sugar. And it's the same effects.
I'm a sugar rat, so
yeah, it's so to put it, you're willing to do everything, and it's there's several ways to do it. First, I do it through a questionnaire and looking at you inside and out metabolically, because the symptoms leave clues of what's going on. So
it's reverse engineering it?
It's reverse engineering it. Yeah. So you're dealing with these situations as you're explaining carb cravings and whatnot. There may be some other things going on that could be related to mood or gut health or any type of experience like that. So I give a questionnaire and analyze that and see what the priority is, because there's always one priority over everything else. So if there was gut issues, let's say, and sugar cravings, I would attack the gut first. I would look at that, right? There's an order of operations, because in functional health, it's like a domino effect. If you line the dominoes up correctly, all you have to do is topple that one domino, and it takes care of everything else. And this is where people get frustrated with, because they're trying to hit this stack of dominoes, and this line of dominoes is still up and standing, and you don't know how to get it, right? So proper assessing in multiple ways. So metabolically, that's looking at your body and how you're feeling and everything from sleep to what I just mentioned. And then the other one that I do is what's called the Braverman test. This is a neurotransmitter assessment. And it brings in Western medicine kind of mixed with Eastern medicine, where it's able to type in your neurotransmitter dominance or your balances or imbalances neurotransmitter-wise.
What is it called?
The Braverman test.
Okay.
It's by Eric Braverman. Cool. Yeah. And you can take the test yourself. It's called I think it's bravermantest.com. And they put together this nice type form type test that you can take, and it gives you a full analysis on things. And you'll find that, and it's something that you need to kind of instinctually do. You don't want to second guess your answers, and it measures out 4 different neurotransmitters. So GABA, dopamine, acetylcholine, and serotonin. And so those are the 4 main neurotransmitters that impact your behavior, your cravings, things of that nature. So if there's an imbalance there, it kind of correlates to what's going on with you with the sugar cravings. Now, it's not the only thing, because you combine this information. And what I really have found myself to be really feel like it's a natural, but it takes a lot. You got to have awareness to be able to connect dots that are completely uncorrelated to the normal person and say, this connects to that. So prime example is just on a very simple level. Let's use your sugar craving, for instance, right? So that could be correlated to perhaps gut dysbiosis or an imbalanced gut bacteria, which could be secreting some type of toxin within the bacteria form itself that could be triggering some type of neurotransmitter imbalance that could be causing a behavioral imbalance, right?
Wow.
So that's one way to look at it. And then we use nutrition, supplements, therapeutic supplements to correct and use it as a drug to enhance or calm things down or balance things out. But then there's the other aspects of things. So it's like, what's going on at home? What's the environment at home like? What are you doing in terms of holistic health, lifestyle wise? Are you in front of the computer all the time, on the screen? You know, that drains dopamine, which decreases focus and drive, which decreases your willpower, right?
Yeah.
So there's all these things that you know what you need to do, but you just don't do it. Why?
Yeah.
And there's something going on from multiple angles. And so I don't attack everything all at once. I'm looking for, you know, the lowest hanging fruit. And so that's where it comes to an individual perspective. Like if you're running a business and you're working 60 hours a week and you have a family at home and dysfunctional relationship because work is too heavy and you don't have enough time to spend time with your family, and that's a deficiency in and of itself, then we need to look at probably the easiest thing to address is a nutritional deficiency, to where you just start taking a certain set of supplements that'll work for you, that'll balance out the neurochemistry and start to create more balance. So you start handling stress at work and at home more effectively. You're less reactive. And now we're doing self-talk and self-work.
This is so wild.
Right. Yeah. And then
It's like a web.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And so now you start to orchestrate things in a different way. And now they're having better conversations at home, which relieves the stress, creates more connection. Right now they're having a better love life. And then in addition to that, they're handling stress at work better. Coincidentally, it's coincidence. It's happening at the same time as that their performance at work improves. Right. And then their physical fitness is improving, and your brain is the ultimate hormone organ, gland, whatever you want to call it, that impacts what you secrete and how you secrete it and how you utilize it. Right. So the neurotransmitters affect the hormones, affect cortisol production, affect how much stress you're actually under. That's a vicious cycle that happens. People get caught up in this stress cycle where it's like you're tense, you're not breathing properly. So now you have upper respiratory breathing. So now your chest tightens. Now you feel it in your neck. And now you're dealing with physical pain on top of emotional pain, right? So all these things just cascade, and it's like, how do I fix this?
Yeah.
And you try all these different avenues. And again, it's about getting to the deepest root cause. And you can approach it from a chemical standpoint, which would be like through nutrition, right? And identifying if there's a neurotransmitter imbalance or gut issues or nutritional deficiencies. You can approach it from the emotional or mental side of things. So again, how you talk to yourself, how you're perceiving things, how you're handling stress in that form, right? And then there's the physical aspect where you're actually correcting form, balancing out the body muscularly, and now you're able to move more freely. You don't have that pain as much. You feel stronger. You're looking better. You feel better about yourself. So they all connect. Right.
So interesting.
And the way you train does impact you. So it's not always, especially for somebody who has so much on their plate, to do HIIT training is actually it's counterproductive. So it's not a calories in, calories out game as much as what people say. You know, it's not just about eating right. It's not just about removing these foods and doing these things, because it's like, if it was that easy, we wouldn't have the problems that we have in this society.
Would you say, though, that up until relatively recently, we haven't gotten to this level of like complexity that you're talking about. Like I've seen like a huge wave. I started working with a functional medicine, like nutritionist, strength trainer, like a year ago. And that like blew my mind about all these things.
Yeah.
And I'm still very entry level because I entering my 30s, my body's different. Like I got off birth control. So I had a huge reaction. I like gained weight and all these, I mean, I'd never experienced any of this. I never had to like count my calories, all these things.
Yeah.
And it was a blessing in disguise because it took me down this route. I was like, I don't know anything about women's health, like for real, not on like a cellular level, not on like a hormonal level. And I was like bedridden. I was like, had like chronic illness and like mild PCOS from that experience. And then went into learning about all of these things. And it's just like, the more that you learn about it, the more you realize no one has, it's like not accessible information really. And the information on like Instagram is like so bad, like for the most part. I mean, because it's like everyone giving you a one size like fits all. And it's like, I've literally been doing all these tests, like, you know, Dutch tests, like gut hormones, like all these different things. It's like, I've never even heard of this. I like,
that's like one of my questions for you. So it's, for me, it's like you can go down and do all of your own research, right? And you can try to figure out, like, you can go to a functional doctor. They may do like all of your blood tests. It may get you like on the right path. So for example, for me, I went to a functional doctor in 2021 and they found out that I was allergic, like severely allergic to mold. So then she put me on all of these pills, right, to get the mold out of me. We had to get rid of all the carpet in our basement that was supposedly holding the mold, which come to find out it was. And so then I was on all these pills, right? And then it's kind of like after a while, I don't know if you guys are like this, but I get like sick of taking all the pills, and then I just like kind of start like not taking them anymore. And then like all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, I feel bad again. So then I like am like, oh, is it still the mold? Do I have to go back to the doctor? Like, how do you recommend keeping people on a good schedule and like a continual check-in? So I go and I'll go on like spurts of, okay, I'm taking my D vitamin and my K2 or whatever it is, and my fish oil and like my mushrooms that now everybody's saying you need lion's mane and all. So I have like 5 different, like 10 different pills that I'm taking on a daily basis. And my kids make fun of me and they're like, dude, mom, you're probably like killing yourself by taking all these pills that you don't need to take because you're eating healthy or whatever. So like, how do you recommend not following like the latest fad, but it's really it's so much. Like it's like constant. But doing something that's right for you, and which is where I think functional medicine is like going, but we're not quite there. And it's so hard to discern like what is good for your body and what's hurting your body. And like, what do I come to you as like my life coach for health for the rest of my life, where we have like quarterly blood tests that we check in on, and like we are, okay, maybe you needed fish oil now, but now you don't, like inflammation's way down. Like, how do you work with your clients?
Yeah, so the variety is your best friend, right? In anything we do. So if you do the same thing over and over and over again, it just gets really fatiguing and boring. And you know what, you go through the honeymoon phase of that whole process that you went through, and it's like, wow, this makes sense and it feels great, and you know, things tune in. I find the everybody has to find a different way to look at the same thing, right? So when you're approaching this and going, okay, too many supplements, what I would do is I would remove all the non-essentials, like cover your base with digestive enzymes.
Like a probiotic.
Like a probiotic would be great too. I would even say digestive enzymes would be before that. So that's just like support for absorbing and breaking down protein, fats, and sugars, right? And then a big deficiency that most people have is stomach acid down to the very core, because when you're operating in this, you know, fight or flight mode, or constantly in this beta brainwave where you're just reacting and analyzing and, you know, just not in a peaceful state. It's like trying to process and break down things while there's a 800-pound gorilla in the room, right? And so your body shuts down the core mechanisms that keep your body functioning to survive, right? And so chronic exposure to that over time And again, all stressors inhibit or affect this, right? So the mold in your carpet is causing a chemical toxin or stressor, right? Which is then raising your cortisol, which then is causing you to be more reactive or have less sleep, which decreases all positive functions, right? And then it's where do you go from there? So, and to kind of bring up a point, like if you're dysfunctional in sleep, that's the number one, but you can approach it from multiple angles. There's a field called quantum biology. And this is becoming the newly emerged sector of functional health and medicine. And it really focuses on circadian rhythm optimization. So a 24-hour clock, your body operates in a circadian rhythm in 24 hours. As women, you operate in a 28-day cycle, right? So there's a whole breakdown of that as well to how to optimize.
Cycle syncing.
There's ways to optimize just from what you do first thing in the morning to what you do throughout the day, just in lifestyle. So to look at it from a different perspective of how you've been approaching it, I would look at, what are you eating first thing in the morning? What are you doing in terms of your sleep environment, EMFs, and the exposure to waves, electrical and radio waves that impact our cellular function and our communication with our body. And then I would look into just what you're eating as a whole. Like beyond, the first thing I look into is food intolerance for people. So healthy food isn't necessarily good for you. And so you could be eating something what most people consider healthy, but it could be causing stress and pain for you.
Wow.
Right. So, and that can lead to brain fog, ADHD, sleep dysfunction, gut issues, joint pain, you name it. It could be related to just that in and of itself. So that's like, it's looking at all these things and going, okay, what's the easiest thing that you can address that you don't have to think about? Right. And then that's what I mean by if somebody's got 20 things on their plate and all these stressors, let's just get you eating right first.
Yeah,
right?
And there's not a magic, and you're also, what I'm hearing is that there's no magic pill.
No.
So it's like, okay, you could take these 10 supplements, maybe they're working, maybe not, but really let's look at your overall cycle of what you're doing and what's going to be the easiest thing to maintain for the longest. So sleep is what I'm hearing.
Sleep is the number one, and that's not always easy for people depending on what they got going on, right? So there's in and of that, how do you optimize what they're dealing with right now? So, for instance, supplementing with amino acids, it can impact your neurochemistry or your neurotransmitters, which can impact your focus and your drive throughout the day, even when you're operating under low sleep. So if you can perform better and operate better, you're reducing stress, which means you're going to get potentially better sleep, right? Your nighttime routine, what you're doing, are you on the screen? Are you doing things with lights on? Well, I would look at, again, how open are you to change? Remove the lights, change the light bulbs, put them to incandescence. Even better, go with just candlelight, right?
Yeah.
And just focus on that.
Honestly.
Yeah, it really changes
you.
you.
Do you do the candlelight?
I have, yes.
Really?
Yes. I used to, I have a bunch of really good questions for you.
Yeah.
But I wanted to add to this is that when you first so for me, getting into all of this, like on a cellular level, biological level, it's so overwhelming at first.
Yeah.
Being inundated by all the trends. And then you're just like, okay, well, I literally just want to try everything. It kind of is fun at first.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening? Like, wearing these glasses, going outside, like putting salt in my water. Like, what? It seems crazy. Now I don't even think about any of it. Yeah. Like, literally, I have the best story of moving back to the Midwest. Last summer, I was such a huge person that does grounding. Like, I'm like so about it. Like 3 times a day, I just go and lay in the yard, like with my dog and just like take a minute. And it's like, I forgot that's like not really that wave of these simple things is not like normalized here.
Yeah.
And I have a huge field behind our house and I was like walking with my dog and I just like laid in the field really early in the morning and was just like in this great meditation. And the neighbor like runs out to their fence and is like, "Are you okay?" And I just started dying laughing because I was just like, yeah, like I wasn't gonna be like, I'm grounding out here, like leave me alone, man. Like I was like deep in this like visualization and like scared the shit out of me. But it was just funny because it's like different regions of the country are like picking up these things. And we're talking about a wide variety of tools and tactics. Like you're going so deep, so fast, and like all of these things that might, I mean, that's like advanced. Wouldn't you say these are like, like working with you is something that's like, you're going to get the full spectrum of like the most advanced health rituals, routines, like standards. Would you, just to clarify for people listening, because they might be like, what?
Yeah, it's heavy stuff.
Like we're going 0 to 100. Like, and I'm just like, and I'm personally like with you, and I like can hear all this, but I'm like having a flashback to when I first started. And I had a friend of mine who was just like so far ahead of me. It was like irritating, like, cause I couldn't, or like, here's a vitamin or a sunlight app that'll tell you the best vitamin D like access throughout the day. Like, I'm just like, whoa, like what, where do I begin? I can't even exist. And it's like, I've been doing everything wrong. So to bring it back, what would you say, like you're saying, these like initial hacks, if like you have nothing else, you don't have time to get the trainer, you don't have time to do the macros, you're literally running 1,000,000 miles an hour. What are like the top 5 things that are like easy? Maybe even top 3.
Yeah. I think the first thing is getting reconnected with nature in some way, shape, or form. So example is getting outside first thing in the morning with sunlight. Crack your window.
In the field.
I mean,
with your neighbors.
If you want,
It might be concerned.
Or I mean, you could do it as a community event and say, hey, we're all going out there.
Yeah. Like I tell clients, go for a walk and talk, right? Yeah. If you're gonna carry a meeting, go with your clients or your team and get outside some way, shape, or form. If it's cold outside, you can crack a window, and just having that window cracked in the office or in the room makes all the difference. Because the light is it is a nutrient. Our body absorbs it, it utilizes it, it does affect. And just to give you an example, it's like it impacts your sleep, right? Totally. Like if you got the blue light blaring all over the place and you're watching TV, your sleep is going to be impacted because of that. So there's a whole cascade of effects that happen with that. So connecting with nature and getting outside, and these things are so simple, they're overlooked. So it's almost easier for people to go, give me a supplement, give me this thing. And that's what Instagram and social media is infused with is you got gut issues, take this pill, it'll fix it. You got sugar cravings, take this, it'll fix it. And they got all these testimonials and all these claims. It doesn't work. Right? And they got great marketing.
I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, they got great marketing, but they don't address the foundational things that you could feel better for a little bit, but if you're not getting these foundations that we're talking about here, which is sunlight.
So starting the day
with sunlight. Yeah.
Walking as much as you can. Basically reconnecting with nature.
What I do is I recommend, here's an easy way to spin it, is like after a meal, just go for a 10-minute walk. Go around the block, right? It improves your blood sugar. It improves the absorption of nutrients. It decreases stress. Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So and you calm yourself down. You're just calmer minds always prevail. So your body calms down. You get in circulation. You're getting sunlight. So making it a habit. And these are things that people, it's hard for them to see themselves doing it if you're not doing it. But it is so foundational.
I can speak to that. So when I had my company, I was working 90 hours a week, and I would take my food to my desk in front of, because I had nonstop meetings from like 6 in the morning till 7 or 8 at night. Yeah. And I mean, it was like meeting after meeting, and I would sit and I couldn't, and I knew I needed to get up and walk, but I couldn't figure out like how to manage my schedule where I could be like, well, I can't be on video on this call because I've got to, take a quick walk around the block. So I just never did it. And unfortunately, I paid the price. How would you, I mean, I ended up selling my company and like really reducing my hours and everything. So I was forced to have a different lifestyle, but somebody who has to keep that lifestyle up, how would you suggest that they incorporate that? And like, is it small, just a little step, like maybe just in the morning, or how do they, what you're saying seems so simple is my question, but it's hard when you're in a situation that demands a lot out of you.
How do you implement?
How do you
get
implement
past the bad I mean, I had a bad habit and I was a self-proclaimed, I'll say it now, a workaholic. And I know it was from other trauma in my life and that I had to get through.
Yeah.
when I was in it, if someone said go take a walk, I would be like, yeah, I don't think so.
Whereas like
they're
I'm
insane.
the opposite now, where it's like I literally block it out on my calendar.
Prioritize it.
Because so that like people can't book meetings with me. Like, and I just do it. I try to do it like at least 3 times a day, or I have one super long, like hour-long walk because like I just want to get off screens. And it's like in that walk, I'm literally so nerdy about this because of the same reason. It's like I know if I do that, if I haven't gotten any steps, that walk equals 10,000. So it's like it's like my last resort. It's like, oh shit, okay, well, I gotta go do the long walk and I'll hit my little goal. But otherwise, like putting it on my calendar has been really helpful because then people literally can't book a meeting and they don't need to know what I'm doing. I'm just like a 20-minute walk.
Yeah, good call. For me, I probably, I know I needed more boundaries. So I would be like, oh, I have that blocked. Okay, fine. I'll talk to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, for
You
sure.
know, like, all right, what do you need?
But
I
you
was
see
so
how much
bad.
better it makes like these little things. All of a sudden you start functioning
Yeah.
so much better, than kind of becomes in a healthy way for me anyways. It's like addictive.
Mhm.
It's like,
It is addictive. Now, when I don't get 10,000 or 15,000 steps, I'm really mad at myself. But back then I was getting 2, maybe 1.
this is like really common. Like if you're in corporate jobs, like it's hard.
Yeah. I mean, I sat my butt in a desk for a very long time and never got up. Even at most points, didn't even eat.
Yeah.
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 So I looked good because I was never eating.
If I don't
struggling-
like shit,
struggling
then
inside,
I
yeah.
don't need to
Yeah.
burn calories. Logic.
But
It's going well.
that does tell you a lot about
Burns
why I
you
had
out.
my 3 p.m. I needed sugar.
Yeah.
I hadn't eaten all day, and I would go down, quick grab something, and that's how it was almost, now it's like a bad habit that I just need to break, right? So I guess going back to my question is like, how would you say, is it scheduling time out for our listeners?
I think if you're that heavy in the trenches with work and it's hard to break free from the things that you've been doing for years or for a long time, in the case of sitting at a desk and doing these things, it's like how to integrate certain things so that you don't have to take time away, but still do the things you need to do.
Yeah.
And then over time, you'll find other ways to open things up. So cracking the window is just a prime example.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything other than just crack the window.
Perfect.
And it's, because give you an example, like the unless it's like quartz glass or quartz crystal windows, which I think do exist, but it's very uncommon. It filters out all the spectrum of light except for the blue light. So when you don't crack that window, you're not allowing the full spectrum of light to come in from the sunlight, whether it's overcast or not, whether it's cold out or not.
Wow.
Having that little crack in the window makes a difference. Because if
it.
you're there for 8 hours,
That's so easy too.
Right?
Like even me, my crazy would be able to crack a window.
but
Love
to the point of walking and getting in nature, right? You can combine those two things together. But if you're stuck in an office or at a desk all day in high demand, I got a lot of clients who are, one thing after another, and it's guerrilla warfare as one describes it, right? There's something that I learned from a strength coach, David Lawrence, calls it movement stacking, where for like, let's say you got back-to-back meetings, right? You can find 30 seconds to a minute in between those meetings to do push-ups, squats, go up and down the stairs,
Love it.
do something like that for 30 seconds and just do that in between. Or something that I'll implement too is every time you go on your phone or go on social media, it's a big addiction for people, is if that's a problem they're using. So I'll look at their screen time,
Love
right?
it.
And see how often they're actually on their screen for productivity versus just the dopamine hit that we get from social media. And look at that and go, okay, we need to start training you differently. So every time you pull up that app, you're going to do 10 push-ups or 10 or 20 squats.
I love that a lot.
And so it trains like, do you want to look at that and actually do them? And then,
I love that. I'm going to do that with my kids.
yeah.
That is such a great idea.
Yeah, it starts to integrate a new behavior and more awareness around the behavior, right? And then it has a pro to it as well. Now you're implementing movement, and stacking that over the day is far different than sitting all day and not doing anything. Right?
Okay. Well, I'm excited because I don't want to do push-ups, but I do want to do like one pull-up by the end of this year. So we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But I want to reverse engineer this even more. So now that we're breaking down on these like basic hacks, if you will, or whatever you want to call them. Would you say the best thing for someone to do before even like getting into this level of like functional and integrated health. I'm not sure what you want to call it, of doing like an audit of their life,
Mhm.
like literally looking where the hours are spent during the day, even on average, and then what you're consuming. And like, again, going back to that baseline. Cause I think for just speaking for myself, I just didn't even know. Like I was like literally running from thing to thing. And I was just like, there's no way I'm spending that much time on that.
Yeah.
It's impossible. And then like looking at it and being like horrified, you know, like I'm on social media or I'm literally in meetings. Like there's no reason for someone to be at this many meetings. And like, it's ridiculous.
It actually is true. You kind of wonder, like, why did I have 12 hours of meetings a day? Like, what the hell was going on?
I'm literally known as a person that's like, this could have been an email. Like, send me a voice note. I'm like, God. Such a waste. But so is that like something that kind of like what you're talking about with this, you know, when you first start with a client, you're like, where is everything at from a baseline?
Yeah, it takes some time. You know, you can look at their calendar and all those, but you're also picking up trends over the weeks, like with communicating and connecting with them and seeing where the bottleneck is, because they'll show you over time, right?
Yeah.
You'll see what's going on and how was your day, how was your week, what was going on there, what do you have to deal with, what do you have to deal with going forward, and it's usually some work related or combination of personal and professional aspects of things. Yeah, I'll look at what they got going on in their calendar. If it's that packed and that busy, then I'll start looking at how to schedule and create boundaries. And a lot of times when you have that much going on, there's usually like a people pleasing effect to it, right? Where you can't say no. And so we start working on that and start saying, okay, we need to set up boundaries. You need to start delegating. You need to start optimizing your calendar in different ways to where you need time for yourself.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
I actually wish I knew you then, because I think if someone would have, I had like a coach to tell me like, all right, let's look at your calendar. Like now with AI, there's so many other different things we could do, but like, let's optimize it. Where are you spending your time? Why are you doing these things? Is it just to make sure that you don't trust people? Or what is it, and like, how do you get to the root cause of why it is that I feel like I have to control everything?
Yeah, that's that control factor is really big, especially in high performers, right? Because it's like, that's what makes you feel safe and worthy, because
just gonna say that.
There's usually something that we experienced in the past where we weren't safe or didn't feel worthy. So we find a way to do that in our professional life that makes you, and then you just get obsessed over it.
Yeah.
Totally.
So it's finding that there is no such thing as balance, but there is a balance within your being and whatever that looks like. So you got to find the things that you can delegate out effectively. And if you can't, we figure out how to do that. And that can take time. Just as like, if you want to go from 30% body fat down to 15 or 10% body fat, that's going to take time and different periods of different focus, and how to start to automate or offload some of the things that no longer serve you. And from that, it can be as simple as, is this going to get me closer to the end result? And if it isn't, then how do we either eliminate it or delegate it out?
Outsource.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
So I want to go back to this woman's hormone thing. I know that there is very little information out there about women's hormones. And I think I read something or watched something recently that said there's actually more information about how to turn somebody into transgender than a woman going through menopause. There's more research there than there is about women in menopause. And going back to what Christina was talking about with like hormones and how bad it is for women.
There was no support.
There's no
You're just
support.
Did the removal of it, and we're like, good luck. And I had no and there's so much you can do, like to like be prepared for like what your body goes through. And it's like,
yeah,
I had to like figure it out.
And there's not, even when you go to, as a woman, you go to a gynecologist and you're like, okay, I've had 2 kids. I've had a miscarriage, whatever. Like, these are my things. And now this is what's happening. Like, maybe I have some irregular bleeding or whatever it is. And they're like, well, we could cauterize your uterus, or like we could do or we would just take your whole uterus out.
Yeah.
Like, then you don't want to have kids anymore, right? So like, then you don't have to deal with it. And you're sitting there thinking like, I just wanted to like, I wanted to know why, like in the middle of my cycle, I was bleeding, but now I don't ever want to come back to you because you're taking my uterus.
Right.
Yeah, it's extreme.
So my question is that something that you look at with your clients, or do you stay away from that because there's other people who specialize in those areas?
So I collaborate with experts in that area, depending on the severity of the symptoms and what they're going through. But just like, for instance, dealing with women who go through extreme pain during their menstrual cycle or PCOS and all these things, right? Like all these big, audacious diagnoses that, the Western medicine's going to go, let's get you under the knife.
Yeah.
Or let's get you on a pill to fix this, right? They're treating the symptom.
Yeah.
They're not treating the root cause to these things. And so it's from a very broad perspective, it's a lot more, I've experienced, more simple than what people are making it out to be. It's these metabolic stressors, and it impacts our
hormones.
Yeah, our hormones, our gene expression in ways that are individual for you, and are individual for you. Yeah. Right? So a nutritional deficiency could be at a root, or maybe even partially causal to the symptoms or things that you're going through.
Which makes sense, because if all of everything that our body functions on is not just women's hormones. It's not just estrogen, progesterone.
It's everything.
It's also serotonin, dopamine. I mean, I can't name them all. I'm not a doctor, but so it's all those things need to be working in sync and in harmony. And one of them is off, then it throws everything off. So like you'll hear a lot of women are low in progesterone. And so it has a lot to do with what you're talking about. Yeah. It's not necessarily an actual hormone issue. It's a body equilibrium, like natural rhythm issue.
There's a big thing with like xenoestrogens. These are chemicals that mimic estrogens and mimic hormones. And what they do, your cells are have parking spaces for hormones and for things that signal other mechanisms, right? So it's like a locking key. And or just use the parking lot analogy, parking spaces. If all those parking spaces are blocked up with other xenoestrogens that mimic these hormones, and your body's producing estrogen and other hormones naturally, your body has nowhere to put it. So now you're creating a toxicity within yourself that causes excess estrogen, which then it increases inflammation and reactivity in the body. And now all of a sudden you're starting to experience symptoms that you relate to aging or that you relate to other things that's just par for course for being a woman in her 30s or 40s. Yep. And this is what you have to go through. Yep. And it's going to be painful, and it's going to be rough, and it's going to be hard. Yep. Right. And I've looked at things from the perspective of everything affects everything. Right. So if you can find one disruptor, one thing that's causing stress on you, it's going to improve if you release that stress. And it's important to find out what those are. So xenoestrogens it's in plastics, it's in our air, it's in everything, in our food. Right. And so testing women out, I haven't tested one woman out who hasn't had some type of chemical toxicity in her to a level that needs to be addressed. Yes. And mold is very common. Parasites are very common. Dysbiosis, gut issues are very common. Nutritional deficiencies across the board. Somebody has something, right? And so the top ones that I would look at would be the chemical load that the person has. And then I would look at the mold, mycotoxins as being another one, and then parasites after that, to look at what's causing those stressors, because it's pulling nutrients from you. If you have an imbalance of some type of thing in you that's causing you not to utilize it, whether it be the chemicals that are causing the cells to malfunction, or if it's a parasite or bacteria that's just out of balance within you, it could be pulling nutrients from the food that you're taking in, and then by that nature you are deficient in that nutrient, which could cause the neurotransmitter issues and all these other symptoms. And ultimately, to simplify this, to make it very simple, all these things are just causing inflammation, stress, inflammation. Inflammation slows things down. It causes dysfunction. It breaks things. And so then you get these symptoms, these issues, and all of a sudden you're going to a Western medicine doctor, and all he or she knows is gynecology through the spectrum and straw
Yeah.
of this particular science and this particular methodology and only went through a semester of nutrition.
Yeah.
And it's probably outdated nutrition on top of all that.
Yeah.
And so now they're giving you information that is
Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Even the medical, how the Western medical system is created, we have to wait for so long for a lot of the research to come out. A
Yeah.
lot of the research, once it's approved by whoever the gods of the medical are,
Yeah.
gets approved, then
the
it's
FDA.
it's 10 years old.
Yeah.
So how is that? That's nothing that is new and relevant at this point. So it's interesting, like that you have the ability to kind of get ahead of what's going on and then really make an impact on people's life. Okay, one last question about women's health, and then I swear I won't ask anymore. So a lot of parents of young women. Now I don't have daughters, but a lot of my friends have daughters who are at that like 14, 13-year age. And they may have really bad periods. Maybe they're just getting their periods, whatever it is. And they're told to put them, maybe they have bad acne. They're told to put them on birth control.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
amazing.
And so
Or Accutane.
yeah. And so what would be your advice to a parent or a young woman being told to be put onto birth control, knowing what we know now, that a lot of young women who go onto birth control at 13, 14, 15 years old have a high likelihood of being severely depressed by the time they're 21, almost to where they'll commit suicide. What would you say? What are some alternatives to helping those types of women?
I would say, so looking at your ability to, this kind of translates into everybody, but particularly this group, a very simple one that I've experienced with clients in this particular state is just looking at a genetic marker, methylation.
Okay.
Like looking at your ability to detoxify,
Okay.
get rid of stuff faster than you can take it on, And so this would be kind of like a number 3 or number 4 on your question on like basics, foundations, is just looking at your vitamin B levels, like folate, B6, B9, B12, B2, B5. Like these are measurement markers that you can take with a urine test.
Okay.
And for give or take maybe $300, $400,
Okay.
you could get this test done and analyze what you're just deficient in these. And again, correct a deficiency, improve everything.
Yeah.
And these are key nutrients to handle the toxic load that we are all exposed to
Yeah.
in our clothing, in our environment, our house, our air, our food.
So simply just doing something like that for your daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And looking at where she's at,
Yeah.
and maybe that will clear her face up or make her cramps go away, instead of just automatically going on something that it clearly is not good for our bodies.
When I hear those symptoms going on physically, that just says to me stress load. And it's not just how you're handling the emotional stress.
Got it.
It's looking at how you're handling these chemical stressors and how you can get rid of them. Sugar is another thing. Chemical load of what they're taking in food-wise is another, like that red 40 and all these things coming out, right?
Yeah.
You got to be looking at, what you're eating, and that of course plays a part. But at a foundational level, if you can identify the enemy or the dysfunction, it gives, just like in therapy, knowing therapy, where something is wrong and you identified what that thing is, it gives you power.
Yeah.
It gives you some motivation and some spark to address it in a different way.
Yes.
And then a methylation supplement would just simply replace what it is that they're taking in. So give you an example, like folate levels is very common in this genetic mutation. And so you take this test, it's a take-home test, and you get the results back in a week or two, and you find out, okay, I'm deficient in these B vitamins. Well, you start supplementing with the B vitamin because a normal individual could eat natural food and get their B vitamins in and be sufficient and operate normally. But somebody who's suffering from ADHD or just overthinks, is hyperactive, is finding themselves to be reactive, and then have physical strains on top of that, like you mentioned, that those are all associated with those nutrient deficiencies, with those B vitamins. And so if you take a supplement, and it's not like you have to take 20 supplements, you just take one, and it can improve your behavior. It can improve your focus. It can improve your willpower to start doing things that you know you should be doing, or that they know they should be doing, but they can't figure out how to do it. And that creates frustration in them.
That's right. It's really defeating.
It is.
When you're, it's so much easier for me now to just be like, why wouldn't you just do these things? And it's like, like, come on, everybody, like, go walk outside, go lay down in the grass, like, drink water, whatever. But it just, that experience that I had going through that, I had never been sick in my life. Like, I've always just been very, very fortunate. And it was like almost 2 year period of me having like a mild, at some points pretty severe, like just chronic illness. Like, I was literally constantly getting the flu. I like couldn't get out of bed, like couldn't work out, like all of these things. I'd never experienced that. It was like such an awakening, but it's like, I remember being so frustrated. I not even being able to like even think to do, like, I had no energy emotionally, you know, you're just so defeated. And like, I have certain family members close to me that are at that phase. And it's like, what do you tell someone who's there? Like what is the one tiny, cause to me, it's like all these basic things. I'm like, I'm going now. Like, let's keep adding it on. Like, I love it. But like, when you're there, it's like,
when you're there, it seems impossible. Even opening the window. It's like, you tell, like, that to me is like, okay, come on. But when you're in it, it is like a feat to open up the window.
You just feel buried.
And the thing is like opening the window, is it going to change that symptom right away? Probably not.
Exactly.
Right? It's not going to fix the thing that you got going on. So that's where I find like really getting into these advanced functional labs help to go, oh, okay, I'm not crazy. Like, there is something wrong with me. That makes sense. And then you got to correlate and connect the dots for them, because there's a lot of lab testing services out there. And they'll give you the information, but it doesn't explain you to you
100%.
personally, right?
They need someone like you. Well, I mean, I know I need someone like you, because I could go and get all those tests, but I'm like, oh, no. Okay,
it's calligraphy.
My other, literally, it's like, what am I, Sanskrit? Don't know what this means. The other thing I was going to segue off of that is, would you say in those moments, that's where even before, you're going to start getting all these testing, things done, but would you say that's where the self-talk and like the mental performance work could be a really good starting point for people? Or maybe if they literally have a couple hours of energy a day, what do you do to get the ball rolling?
Yeah, I think it starts with the foundations, like we talked about, like taking now. It really is a challenge, because you've been operating that this way probably for a long time. So to change something, it's going to be difficult. So just to admit that and come to terms with, this is going to be something I don't want to do, and I have to do it, and I have to commit to it. So if you can commit to it for a week or a day, and then the next day, and then the next day, or for 21 days, like, commit to a practice, whatever that is. And it's getting up, drinking water, then opening the window or getting outside, going for a walk. Now, during that time, you can put on a podcast or an audiobook. Nutrition comes in many forms, right? It's not just food. It's also an information.
What's that? It's Atomic Habits.
Habit
stacking.
Yeah, right? Habit stacking. One thing after another. So that's a great book to add into the mix. Now you start seeing things from a different light. You're listening to somebody from a different perspective. And so now you're changing your mental nutrition. Right? And then you're getting light, and it becomes more addictive. That sunlight becomes more addictive. That's the thing. Like I say, it's a long-term solution, doesn't give it results right away, but all of a sudden, if you do it for 7 days, you're going to start craving it. Right? And your body starts to change subconsciously.
And you just watch like a young child, right? And you want to go back to what that spirit, because I believe that we all have a young child in us. And so if you watch that young child, they want to go out. They'll cry at the window to go outside and play. They naturally want to eat different fruits and vegetables, even off of a tree, because they're like learning and things like that. So it's like, find that young child again in you, and you start to enjoy life in the present.
It's so like going back to your point, like if that's too far out and it's going back to, it's those foundational things like, okay, drink water first thing, add salt. Maybe that's a little too extreme for you. My son's like, no salt in the water. So I'm like, I don't push it. I don't force it.
Poor guy. He's like 14.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
extreme
He's being
biohacker.
immersed. Yeah. He's taking on a lot.
I love that.
But, getting water first thing, cracking the window or getting outside, then it would be a challenge for people is coffee or stimulants.
Yeah.
Right? So having that before food is a no-go.
I know.
Oh,
That's
really?
something that you want to push off.
Oh, God. You
Yeah.
got to stop.
Right?
It's an incredible difference.
It is.
90
Hold on, wait.
Yeah.
I know.
I actually didn't know that. Hold on.
waiting.
Oh.
90 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot. I actually didn't know this. So like they say that you should fast. I don't know who
Yeah,
they
the
are.
common narrative.
Is that you fast and
I
you can
disagree
have
with that.
and you can
too.
have and you can have coffee
Yeah.
or tea and water and that's it until you eat, which
So-
is usually like 11 or whatever, and you should keep your eating between 11 and 6.
Yeah, so your fasting period should actually be reversed. You're breaking the fast in the morning.
Yes.
Right?
Got
Breakfast,
it.
breaking fast.
Especially for women.
Especially for,
Yeah,
it's a
women.
yes, because it's a hormonal cascade of things that you create with the first food that you eat, right? Yeah, the first thing, if it's coffee, you're setting a cascade of cortisol,
Oh.
right? You're setting a cascade of tension and your artificial energy, which is
Yeah.
caffeine, the stimulant, and then that suppresses neurotransmitters and I believe serotonin.
Well,
and
then
so
I
then
know what my problem is,
Yeah,
That's-
stop
that's-
the coffee
so that-
in the morning.
that'll impact your craving. That'll impact your cravings.
which is why I'm hungry for sugar at the end of the day. At
Like you get the cascade of, so what suppresses cortisol? Insulin.
yeah,
They're inversely related. So when you have this kick, right, cortisol is bumping up.
Yeah.
You're noticing that when you wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning, you're having this thing to suppress it, which is insulin, sugar, right?
Uh-huh.
And then it calms it down. You feel cooler,
Yeah.
you feel calmer, you feel good.
yeah,
And then you're on with your day.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's what you do first. Start off with a good day and you'll have a good night. And then you have a good night, you'll have a good day. And getting up first thing in the morning, having water, and then having food after that, like a 15-minute window, because
Okay.
water dilutes your stomach acid, so you're not
It's
going to
also
digest the food.
rehydrating your brain.
Exactly, because you're
A lot of
you-
people
you-
don't know that. That's
brain
like,
shrinks.
It's like a little alien.
Oh,
God.
and then,
It is,
hold
yeah.
on. I'm
Yeah.
having
Feed
I'm
it.
having like an epiphany right now.
What?
So also when you drink the coffee right away, it shrinks your brain even more
yeah.
because it dehydrates you, right?
Yeah. So
I know.
it causes constriction in the blood vessels, right? So nutrient delivery, oxygen delivery is decreased over time with that. And it's little things over time. It's death by 1,000 cuts,
Yeah.
right?
You're
And it's-
grasping the table.
yeah.
I thought I knew everything about how this one I did not know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's these little things. And then what this does is there's a long-term thing that happens with this. The master hormone to all things. If I were to say one thing controls everything, it's leptin.
Leptin.
Leptin, yeah, it's produced at night.
Isn't that's your like cholesterol?
No, so leptin is a hormone that kind of is your circadian rhythm
Oh, okay.
and your energy management hormone. So it basically sets a cascade of triggers in your body to let you know how much energy you have in your body, which affects your appetite, which affects your energy, which affects your circadian rhythm,
Yeah.
right? So if you're having cortisol first thing in the morning spike up, in addition to it already being up and amplified,
Yeah.
and
And
you're
cortisol is the
artificially,
main stress hormone.
yes,
Okay.
Yeah,
to clarify.
correct. Thank you. And it gets you, and cortisol is not bad.
Right.
It's just mismanaged,
Okay.
right? Through stimulants and nutrition and lifestyle and all those things. So you have a natural rhythm of cortisol. When you wake up in the morning, it's naturally high, and then it naturally goes down throughout the day to calm you down and get to
Get
bed.
ready.
Right?
Okay, you're right.
But a lot of people have dysfunctional patterns with cortisol due to a lot of things, and caffeine being one of those.
Which is why people say I got a second wind.
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, I am having like a really
Yeah.
I'm learning. Thank you.
Awesome. And that changed. And this is an example of this, like where you're applying new information, then you get a result out of it. And now you probably don't have to address all those supplements as much as
Yeah.
you did before, because you're swimming against the current
Yeah.
with that in and of itself. right? So all these other supplements can calm the fire down or add some oil to the lantern, but ultimately it's hard to keep up with that habit.
So like an idea for somebody like me who thought coffee was great in the morning, drink your water, wait 15 minutes. I love to have a warm cup of something, I could just do like a hot water and a lemon.
Yeah. I find that for myself as well, it's the warmth, not so much the taste.
Like. Yes.
Right. So if you just do hot water, like that's enough to just get it's a pacifier.
Yeah.
It's like, it gives you that little, okay, I'm having something warm. It's in the morning. It's very, in line with people's patterns in the morning.
Wait, so how long? So it's 90 minutes
after you eat.
After you
eat is the most ideal.
Okay. I was
right.
like,
So
I'm not there yet.
Don't let perfection be the enemy of good.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So you don't have to be perfect on this, and I go through seasons myself where I'm like, I want my coffee, so I'll eat and then I'll have my coffee a half hour afterwards.
Right.
And I'll shorten it up. But I do notice if I stick with it too long that my sleep patterns get disrupted.
Interesting.
So then it's it's an indicator that, okay, I got to do this and pull back, push it off. And then you'll naturally start to minimize your intake of coffee as a result to that. And then you start to get more on your natural rhythm over time.
So like when I had to get off coffee for the last 2 weeks, I just replaced it with tea. Is tea as bad as coffee?
It depends on the tea, but you can go like decaffeinated tea, right? Like even with coffee, you can do that as well. But like I like mushroom teas for that regard, like lion's mane or reishi.
You like, what's his name's brand? You like, Tim Ferriss.
Tim Ferriss.
He has a brand.
Which brand is it?
Oh my God.
Is it Four Sigmatic?
Yes, Four Sigmatic.
Yeah, Four Sigmatic.
Yes.
Yeah, they do organic and they're
good.
They got quality.
Mycotoxin free.
Yes. Yeah, they do the testing and all that.
A lot of coffee has mold.
A lot. Yes.
You told me that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's
it's like so bad for you.
Yeah, because
once you start having coffee that's like actually tested without it, and then you go back, it's like pretty crazy.
It is.
I hate that I learned it because it's like
now it's
I like literally can barely have regular coffee.
There's so much out there that's easily accessible that's actually harmful to
and
ourselves.
A large reason, not to be down a rabbit hole, is that because our country, right, that's what the title should be.
Yeah,
is that our country has way lower standards for like the mycotoxins that like
any other country,
anyone can sell us. So it's like other countries wouldn't even allow these certain products it's just like to be consumed.
Like red dye 40, we can consume that, but nobody else
exactly
can.
It's like
it's like what's wrong with our
Americans? Will eat it,
right?
Send it over there.
They like their chemicals over there.
Well, it's all integrated, right? Like the rabbit hole, as you said. Yeah.
So so let me just go back to this reverse. So I got my morning thing going on. I'm supposed to eat my protein because you told us that on the last, and I've been integrating that. So then when do you stop eating? Like, should you have fast?
Yeah, there should be, and as you go throughout the day, ideally when sunset hits. So in the wintertime, you would eat less, right? It kind of makes sense.
But so what's the okay? So that would be
that's the ideal.
Like a 12.
That's the ideal.
That would be like a 12 or let's say 10-hour time frame. When it's winter, it's smaller. So what's this like 6-hour thing that I read all about? Like you should only be eating 6 hours a day.
I think they are trying to. I think they again look at it from it's whoever expert. Like you have so people who it becomes a dogma. Nutrition becomes dogma.
Yeah.
Right, where it's like keto, paleo, fasting, all these things, and I just you have to. There is a certain. Like where you were born or where your genetics derive from do impact what you should take in and how you should eat.
So
right?
really what you're saying is you can go on any fast. You can do anything that's right. Right for you. But honestly, what really needs to happen
let me answer your question on regards to the window and why do they do this to keep it simple, because we can go, we're going down some deep stuff here. So the food impacts your energy, right? It impacts how you're operating,
Yep.
right? Food is a drug. So you have a steak, you will operate and feel different than if you had donuts,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh my God.
if you, right? So, the protein stands for priority. Like when you break down its etymology or origin of the word,
Okay.
it breaks down to priority,
Yeah.
protein. So it means one thing, what do you focus on? Because it contains the healthy fats, it contains the essential amino acids, and it contains micronutrients, vitamins to help you sustain and function for health. And really, the protein is used for your brain function and your immune function first. So it's not all equates to muscle. Your muscle is really a health savings account.
Okay.
It's like it's nice to have it.
Right.
It's not essential. So, but we live in a world of abundance where we can really prioritize it. And there's a lot of things to go down. What is good protein and all those things too. But ideally, you want to start slowing down at the end of the night to get ready for a good night's sleep. So if you're eating, some people operate better with having carbs at night than other individuals, where it can keep them up at night, right? Some people, it calms them down and levels them off.
Yeah.
Generally, the more active you are, the more quote unquote balanced you are in your system and with work and play and everything else, you can afford to have more carbs,
Got it.
right? Typically, the leaner you are,
Okay.
let's put it that way. Just simply put, you got to earn your carbs, and part of that is body fat and leanness.
Got it.
But then for me, for instance, I'm fairly lean, and having carbs at night does throw me off. I wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when I do have carbs at night.
Like, because it gives you energy.
It's because it just, what it does is it suppresses the cortisol, right? And then, but what happens is a rebound effect. So
From like glucose?
because think about it like this. If you have some sugar in the middle of the afternoon, it's a temporary calmness, but you end up getting hungry a lot quicker.
Yes.
Right. And you end up having maybe like an energy draw shortly afterwards. Right. So
Then you go for more sugar.
and there's a rebound. Yes.
Yeah.
So your body's waking up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever time it may be because your cortisol is spiking. Right. Or it needs to, your blood sugar is dropping. So it needs to spike cortisol in order to produce its own sugar to wake you up. And so cortisol elevating gets you amped up. It wakes you up. It doesn't calm you down. So
So it's not the ghosts visiting me at 3 a.m.
it could be correlated.
It's the cortisol.
Yes. Yeah.
Noted.
The message.
Damn, I wanted it to be the ghost we thought we had a 3
Damn
a.m.
it.
ghost. I guess that's not true.
There's always a rhyme and reason for that. That goes into the spiritual side. And then we start to get the message from that.
I just had to, sorry.
Yeah.
The reason I was asking you to kind of backtrack a little bit too, and then I'm going to make Michelle take over for a little bit. We've been kind of yapping pretty hard over here.
Michelle's got a lot of experience.
I know, because
Are we
Yeah.
allowed
with him.
to
Yes, we're allowed to do whatever.
We're like,
yeah.
what?
No, I just wanted to ask about where your experience was. And like
it's
like getting into like what brought you to working with him,
right,
like, the whole
because-
9 yards.
I guess like what you guys have talked about of being worn out from the work you're doing. And I knew I can get there with what I was trying to do. So I knew I had to get help to be able to do a lot all day with work related stuff and life related stuff. I had to figure out what was going on with my body because I was getting tired at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, taking 2-hour naps, and I couldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
So I met with him, and then he talked about Neville Goddard, and so it wasn't just about strength training and eating right and checking out what's going on in my gut. It was more about mindset too, and I like that because I constantly listen to stuff about mindset. So then I started working with him, and he was integrating all the things he talked about. And the supplements, like you guys mentioned, all the supplements, I did the same thing. I was on my own buying all the supplements and taking them, and they were not working. And then when he gave me supplements, he gave me, I guess, top quality supplements. And, they connected with what they were recommending online. It's just they didn't work the way what he gave me worked. And then maybe it was all holistic because it was the strength training, the mindset, and taking the supplements. And I did a video that's on his website where I'm saying I felt like 20 years old. I had energy. I wasn't taking the 2-hour naps. I didn't eat like I was eating like the carbs either. I stopped doing that. And then just thinking back to the period pain, I had extreme period pain when I was little or younger, and they put me on birth control. And then as I aged, it was extreme because I got off it.
Yeah.
I get off it, and then it was extreme, and I'm in my 30s, 40s, and I told him about it, and so I was taking tests, and he helped me, and I don't have the extreme pain anymore. But I didn't correlate it with the food, like carbs and desserts I was eating and fried food. I didn't think of all that. So when he was helping me, and why I think it's holistic of we need to decide to make the time for ourselves to do the workout. I meet with him 3 times a week, 1 hour each time, and it makes a huge difference. Like I've seen the inflammation in my body go down in my face, in my abs, I'm constantly sore, but that's okay.
That's good, right? It's good to be sore, right?
It's part of the work. Yeah, it's part of the effort.
Yeah. So he helps
Literally
me
can't
with
sit
that.
down. Trembling.
Walking down the stairs. Yeah.
But I'm
Going to the bathroom.
shaking while she's going to the bathroom.
Not that sore. No, that's what's strange. It's not that sore. Like usually when I would go work out on my own, it's like you can't sit down. But with him, it wasn't. And he has the foam rollers. He tells me about that. I had no idea that those were really effective.
Mm-hmm.
And he has me use them when there's soreness in certain parts of my body, like the back, my lower body. So that's amazing. I got one for my house and my husband's using it. But, all this is holistic. And so our mindset has to be ready to say we're worth the time that it needs to take 3 times a week. I think minimum, we need to be doing the strength training. And when you work with him, he doesn't make it so difficult. You're talking, you're doing, he's telling you what to do because I have no idea what to do. And then it's effective. You see it in 9 months now, I don't know, 7 months. I see the difference in my body and I'm happy with it and I'm feeling good. And he just tells me about adjusting different supplements. I'm still working on that. And having to take all those pills is an adjustment, but I like the difference that I feel. So it's worth taking it because when I get off it, I don't know if it's the multivitamins that are helping or something's helping where I don't get so tired and I feel like I have so much energy and I can, yesterday I had back-to-back meetings and these are meetings all over the place, they're not in one location. So for me to go through my day and enjoy it and not feel stressed about it and be excited about it. And I think that's amazing. And that's what was my goal. Right. Working with him is to get there and know I'm addressing everything I need to address. And then I can enjoy my life professionally and personally. And instead of masking things with birth control or however they want to mask the thing, actually addressing the problem is what we're doing here. And that's what I like.
The thing you mentioned with the quality of supplements, I think that's one of a big thing people overlook.
Yeah.
And I've been mentored by some great coaches who work with Olympians and, these athletes their livelihood is on the line by what they take.
Yeah.
We've heard of the athlete who took a supplement and it had some ingredient in it and they got banned, right? Or lost their medal.
Yeah.
Because of it, right? And you're talking about somebody who works their ass off for 4 years to have one moment, right? So supplements were of the utmost importance and world-class across the board, from what you're talking and what you're saying to yourself, to the equipment that you train with, to the nutrition, the food that you're eating, to the supplements. And in the beginning of my practice with therapeutic supplements and doing what we were doing with Michelle, years ago, I had a client in particular who was following the protocol, but she was going to get one of her supplements over at a vitamin store. She wasn't getting it from what I recommended, which was from particular companies that have been proven to be thorough and pure with their products and ingredients. Because
was it bioavailability, a huge thing?
It's a big bioavailability. So having basically a nutrient requires another nutrient to be absorbed and utilized, right? And
Which
so
is
Like give us a quick one. Is it like vitamin D and K?
yeah, like those are synergistic.
Okay.
They help, and magnesium, for instance, helps with vitamin D absorption.
Okay.
Right. And so if you're missing one, you could be taking something else and deficient in the thing that's helping absorb the other nutrient.
So
And that's probably why, the synergy
Right.
that she experienced to help.
that's right. So I have a question
Yeah.
about that. So when I had a really hard time getting pregnant with my second son. And so they did a vitamin D test on me. They put me on a high dose of vitamin D because I had like 6 or something. It was like really low. And it was like 20,000 IUs of really good, pure, like pharmaceutical grade vitamin D.
Wow.
What happened, and the doctor told me it was all in my head, was I started having severe panic attacks. Severe. And I could only attribute it to the vitamin D because it was the only thing that was changed in my diet. I started reading and researching about vitamin D, and I realized that I probably had a magnesium deficiency.
Yeah.
And so then I started taking magnesium
Yeah.
and I stopped taking the vitamin D and I felt better.
Yeah.
So that was like a real thing. They told me I was insane, but I just thought, well, I can know my body and I'm going to try this and do it, right? And I just went with what felt right in my body. But that's like a real thing. Like if you're not if you're taking too much vitamin D, you can actually like almost overdose if you don't have enough magnesium in your body.
Yeah, you can have too much of a good thing and it can cause the imbalances that you experienced. And the other thing too is there is an ego in this profession, right? And it's like you can't tell them wrong. You can't, they'll just wave it off as not insignificant and not a big deal. And that disconnects trust within yourself because now you're like, okay, I'm being called crazy here.
That's right. That's how I felt.
Right. And you're dealing with this and it's there.
And they told me, the endocrinologist said, well, you're never going to get pregnant then if you don't take that vitamin D. I'm like, that vitamin D is making me insane. I'd rather just not get pregnant then.
Yeah. There's science looks at things through a straw. And to your point with the research, being 10 years late, like you get ahead by being ahead of the trend, right? In any level, whether it's business or athletic performance or anything else, or reading your spouse, right? Being ahead of what they're going to be going through and you can anticipate that, right?
Yeah.
So that aspect of things where it's like, it's this way or no other way is very myopic. You look at things just through a very narrow viewpoint and you can't see the other things that could connect or correlate to that. And from supplements, if you're going to take some things, you got to look at it holistically and realize that you may take this supplement and you'll have a different reaction than this person taking that supplement. And the dosage is just as important as the quality too.
Do you mind if we ask what supplements you're taking? You have like a baseline?
Well, I guess he's
Yeah.
Well, magnesium, and I think most people are
Isn't there
deficient
different
in
types?
magnesium. So so he's got whatever he provides.
Yeah. So
There's 5 different types of magnesium, right?
So the main magnesiums you want to go with just simply should end with an ATE, like glycinate, threonate, orotate, citrate, right? It's got to be bound. This is the example of bioavailability. So if you take magnesium and it's magnesium oxide, for instance, is a very common one you can get from a drugstore or
But I
anywhere.
really think they should, like, whatever brand or whatever you're recommending is the one. Because,
take.
like I said, I bought magnesium at the store. I bought all this.
Well, yeah,
other
because
stuff.
you get the thing that says calm, and it comes in like a thing, and then it's
I
like,
get the gummies for my husband. You know,
yeah, you only get like a
Marketing.
centimeter of
I don't
what
know if they're
like what is-
working. I don't think they were working.
Yeah, great marketing.
Yeah, I want to be calm. It's not calming me down.
It's making you more insane. Yeah.
Right. So these actually, like, I feel good. I noticed the difference in my body. The multivitamin, it has iron. I thought that made me have more energy than just any other multivitamin. It just made a huge difference. So that's why I think his are better quality, and I don't know the brand.
Yeah, so there's several good brands out there that I work with. Some you can get access to just directly on your own. Other ones you have to have a license or some certification to gain access to these because they're dealing with extremes all over the place, but they want to make sure that the practitioners using them knows how to use these things, because they provide such great resources. Like you talk about, the information out there for women's health and hormones is very limited, and it is until you go into the right rooms.
100%.
Right? And then when you get it, it's a plethora of information.
It's a fire hose.
And
It's
that
amazing.
exactly.
In a good way.
And I've been privileged to be able to work with some great practitioners from Dutch Labs. They provide so much education on their from their labs to to what they're measuring out and how it correlates to all these issues, from ranging from autism, ADHD, PCOS to menopause, perimenopause, all these things, right? And you can really gain some ground by looking at these things from a different perspective and finding somebody or a group or practitioners who really put practice in for this type of stuff. Was there a question? I don't know if there's.
Yeah,
I was asking you what your supplements, because
the supplement stack.
Redid my supplement stack through my nutritionist, and it's really I've never spent this much money on supplements before.
It's expensive
because I was always getting
it's a big investment.
Yeah,
but it was I just had the conversation about quality, and I wasn't exactly buying them from Walmart, but it was I didn't understand there really are certain brands. I mean, I spent over $200 on 3 or 4 things, and it's I actually just started the stack a couple days ago, and it's you feel
the difference.
Wait, hold on. Wild. So the next podcast, can we bring in all of our supplements and you can go through them?
That would be a good.
Let's do that.
Best.
I don't know if we can do that. Then we're gonna get
I was
sued.
Someone will be
where's the
lawsuit? We've got a lawyer. It's fine.
It's all opinions, right? It's all just opinions.
Yeah, it's just opinions.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I was just curious, because if you're just starting out as a base level, I mean, I was just taking random stuff. I really was, until I started working with this functional medicine nutritionist, and we, based on a year of my data, we're okay, now let's use XYZ. And it was to me worth the investment at that point, because I feel I had the data to support what I needed.
That's a big thing. When you're taking these things blindly, it gets aggravating, because you're taking all these supplements and it's I don't know if this is working or not.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm addressing. They said it was supposed to do this. Okay. And what you're really picking up is you're not wrong.
Right. It's not
because
right.
unless
you're not listening to your body.
Yeah. If you don't get dialed in on what you need specifically, there's some broad spectrum. If we're talking foundational stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's digestive enzyme with.
Do you have a favorite brand?
Yeah. I like Nutridyne. Okay. Nutridyne's one of my favorites. ATP Lab. There's a new brand, Spoken, which is, these are all very well-backed, well-researched, and they pay attention to the details of the quality of nutrients. They don't short it. Price is not their consideration.
Right.
You get what you pay for in supplements. You really do. And there's some supplements out there that you can just get off Amazon. Potassium citrate, for instance. Most people are deficient in potassium. You could take potassium citrate by itself I get mine from Now. And that's a very cheap ingredient. Right. You don't have to go through crazy quality control to get that ingredient.
Right.
But for somebody who's going to, say, dose with glutamine, which is an amino acid that helps with GABA production and balancing out your gut health and your brain. And if you're taking a high dose of that and there's contaminants in it, I had a client who, that was one of the supplements she was taking, and she got sick. And I was she's I get sick every time I take this. And I'm well, where did you get it? And she's I got it from Vitamin Shop. And I'm oh, I can't guarantee the backing of this. There could be some contaminants in it.
And even the casing, the pill casing that they put the supplement in, I didn't realize if you got to really watch it.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have the pork gelatin in there, which is really bad for you.
Yeah. And if you're intolerant to pork, right? That's
I didn't know.
a big deal.
I am. We did the test and, found out. Yeah. And I didn't know.
Oh, did you bring it with?
Yeah. So this was my... Yeah, so in here he showed me yesterday what I should or should not be eating. And some stuff is really shocking because it's cucumbers.
Go to the camera.
You think these are healthy things to eat. Cucumbers.
There's multiple tests in there.
So many things.
Shay, you can see here.
Oh, this is amazing.
So this is all the reading here. There's another one in here too.
Yeah.
Right
So
here.
like if you look at this,
We're just looking
what
at
I
the health
can
data.
eat
It's fine. Camera can't.
and what I can't, like you were saying, anything above 1.5, like everything down here.
Oh, look at her pork.
Like
She's red. Reaction levels high. I bet. Oh my gosh. I
a little bit like radish, broccoli, and
So a big thing, again, this is where the world of health and functional health gets confusing, because you can get a food intolerance test anywhere. You can order it on Amazon.
Okay.
You can get these things from doctors, and it's important to understand the quality of the technology and testing behind these things too, because you could cross off. I hear this from people a lot, where it's like, I got a food intolerance test, I don't need it. And I'm like, well, you're still having issues.
Yeah.
Where did you get the test from? And oftentimes it's from Everwell, I think, is one that's very common that you can get online. And
it may not be the best quality
yeah,
test.
you're not getting good information. Like information, accurate information is important. Getting inaccurate information creates a lot of frustration, because you're like, okay, I got this information, I'm going to start doing this, and I don't get better. And if you're not getting accurate information, it goes back to the beginning of assessing properly, right? So if you're getting the right information, you can take good action and intentional action behind something, and you feel confident about that. There's an energy, there's a mentality behind that, and then there's the intensity that you approach things with.
Right.
And the same thing goes with strength training. Like if you're not training intense enough and you're not confident in what you're doing, you could lead to injury, or just leads to long-term frustration.
Right.
And I think one of the, as we talk about what is good for people to start off with, I think it's just as important to acknowledge that cheap information is just as bad as not doing something. Right?
That's a really good point.
Yeah. So
Because it's so easy to, like, again, we've gone from this all levels of like education levels within, this world.
yeah.
And to me, it's so easy to be like very all or nothing. And it's like, well, I can't get that quality of supplement. So it's like taking, a more basic vitamin D. Like, is it worth it? But it's like, where do you draw the line? It's like getting started is just all that matters.
Yes.
Right.
And you would say,
Well, I think
I'm just saying,
everybody has to come get started with Justin. That's what I think.
I think so
Because
too.
look at this stuff. I mean, this is so cool right there.
Yeah.
Like that's
It's kind
It's
of
u-
what
it's very
you're
useful.
saying, though, is
Yeah.
it
Very
is the Wild West. Like functional medicine is like, in the sense of like, because of the years of experience you've had in trying different things out, you're able to use that experience to know what testing facility or, labs or whatever are going to actually provide you accurate information.
And it's just like anything, who you surround yourself with is what you become. Right. So
I'm a big advocate of that. The top 3 people you spend the most time with is who you end up becoming.
So if you're looking for a business mentor, you want to make sure that they have the results and the experience, or the results and the life that you want, right? The business that you want, just as much as somebody who's at the level of health that you want. And then you got to look at that. Like, okay, what are they? Influencers all over the place are living the lifestyle, living down South America somewhere, and living that life, and don't have any kids, or their business is their life. And that's it. That's easy to integrate and have health when your business is health. But what happens when you have a business completely disconnected from your health, and it's actually been one of the causes to the lack thereof. So it's important to get the right information and be around the right people. And I stand on the shoulders of giants in regards to all this stuff, where I'm getting information from the people that I see are doing things at the highest level, and their integrity is intact. Right.
Yeah. And then you're able to pass that on to your clients with information like this, and show them like how much love and appreciation you have.
Yeah.
And then that passes on to them themselves. This is amazing.
It's a great test. It's just a blood test that you can have a person tech come out to your house or your business and just draw the blood, and it's minimal time, and you get the results back in a week, and then you're looking at things. She's like, I was eating all this stuff that I shouldn't eat. And
I'm thinking it's healthy.
It's like basic things like whey, like protein in your protein shake.
What you're recommending.
Well, and even the pork, like we stopped eating pork for the last 8 weeks. Now I feel so much better. I bet my pork would if I did that, would be off the charts bad for me.
And the thing is, this changes over time. So somebody who hasn't done a test in years, you want to retest, because your body changes. something as simple as like Pavlov's dog, right? We're familiar with that test where you ring the bell or you rang the bell and then the dog would get a treat. And then over time, that bell was correlated to the treat without the dog getting the treat. And it would just produce the digestive enzymes and saliva. Well, if you're in a stress state, as you were talking about with back-to-back meetings and all these things, and you're on high alert and you start eating food and it could be normally good for you, but you're eating this food in high alert, stressful state, you're essentially training your body to react to this food in the same regard.
Oh my goodness.
So if you do that for 6 months, 12 months, 3 years, over and over and over again, something that wasn't a big deal in the beginning starts to become a big issue at that time, right? So we're training ourselves in ways that we don't even know and becoming more consciously aware of these things, mindfulness, right? Becoming more aware, you start to look at things differently. And now what was hard at one time is no longer hard because you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, simply just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Right.
And now the resistance starts to go down. And now what you know you should be doing, you start to just naturally do because it's information that makes sense to you.
And you start to feel better.
Exactly.
Right.
That's
And
the key.
that's
You're
the
getting
goal.
results.
Yeah.
If you're getting results, and it's oftentimes people come to me when they put in the effort, but the results don't equal the effort they're putting in. And that's where I meet people at that point.
Let's figure this out.
Yeah. They're ready to figure things out in a different way.
Well, I think we're coming up on our end here. Do you have anything?
I have one last thing.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Okay, this is a game.
Okay.
Wellness trends for you to rate.
Oh, okay.
1 being terrible, 10 being best.
All right.
I'm just going to rapid fire. these.
Okay, cool.
Cold plunges,
3,
red light therapy,
5,
intermittent fasting,
2.
NAD plus supplementation.
Put it at a 6 or 7.
Even like the inject. Isn't there like one you can get that's like a IV?
Yeah, you can do IV drip or you can do the
Which one's better?
NMN, like sub.
Yeah.
I like the one that you just use underneath the tongue. You just spray it in.
Okay. Sorry, keep going.
fine.
Blue light blockers.
9,
Oh, wow.
maybe 10.
Wow.
Yeah,
I have those at home. I'm going to use them more often.
Yeah.
Seed oils being toxic.
10.
So do you recommend eliminating them completely?
Yeah.
Okay. CGMs, continuous glucose monitors for non-diabetics. I've done
Interesting.
So
I'm not big on monitors, so I'll put it at a 2.
Oh, I got. Grounding and earthing.
But to each individual, though, if it helps
I
you.
just was in a data mode.
Yeah.
I
I know.
Yeah.
I would put that at 10.
Grounding. Okay.
Yeah.
Methylene blue.
Let's just put it at a 2, 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sleep tracking wearables.
Again, 2.
Really?
Yeah. It's analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
It's like
Trust me, I've learned.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot.
And then there's EMFs within that tracker, right? So you're adding technology to the piece, and I'm not big on the technology side of things for that.
Okay. Microdosing psychedelics for productivity or mood.
I put that at 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eating raw. No comment. Eating raw liver or ancestral eating trends.
I think good intentions behind it. It doesn't have to be raw to put a note behind that, but ancestral foods, organ foods, I'd put up there at a 10, 9. Yeah.
they taste so good though.
I like liver.
You can take like liver tabs or do things like
I
that.
have like the bovine or
Yeah.
whatever the supplements.
Take that. Yeah.
Okay, castor oil packs for detoxing.
Oh, I've never experienced that, so I can't really. I put it at a 5 in the middle. I'm not against it, but I'm not experienced in it either.
Okay, mitochondrial support. So stacks like PQQ, CoQ10.
Yeah, I think it's a good support system. It's not the most essential thing, so I'll put it at like a 6 or 7.
I just started really expensive CoQ10. I think it works actually.
Good.
Structured water or hydrogen water.
I think structured water is up there. It's big.
Really?
Yeah, big on the list. And you don't have to do it you don't have to get like structured water or a hydrogen ionizer. You can just put water in a copper tin and put it in front of the sun or a glass container and let the sun absorb it. Those are simple ways to actually structure your water.
Huh.
Yeah, I put it up there at it's so simple, it's a 9 or 10. You don't have to do much with it.
Last 4, dry fasting.
I would put that at a dry fasting 3.
Interesting. Biohacking your bedroom for deep sleep. So temperature, EMF blocking, blackout curtains.
Yeah, I would put that at a 10.
Mouth taping.
I'd put that up there as well, but some people get freaked out about it, so it's dependent on the individual. Like, don't force it, but if you can do it.
If you're not safe in your body, don't do it.
Yeah. So I'll put it at let me put it this way. So if your mouth is open, you're waking up with a dry mouth, what you're doing is you're causing a cascade of stress in the body internally, because it's the entrance to your body, right? So it causes all sorts of dysbiosis in the mouth, and then it transcends into the gut. And now you got bad bacteria in your gut, and that causes stress.
But I think
I'm sending you guys a picture when I tape my mouth.
Yes, yeah.
There's some cute ones.
There is
lips.
some.
I've seen them.
There's some ones that like just attach from like here to here, so it just goes above your lip and below your lip, but you
So you
have
can
this
break
space that
free.
you can break.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's some good ones out
Doesn't
there
feel like
now.
a muzzle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm not claustrophobic. It's fine. The last one is, which we already know what you're going to say, is living in alignment with circadian rhythm.
Oh, 10.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
All right, there you have it. Those are the top wellness trends right now.
Sweet.
Thank you for doing this.
This is amazing. I feel like enlightened. Like I'm gonna go audit my life and do it again.
We'll have all your
Just gonna see
information.
him.
We'll have all your information at the bottom of the podcast, so people can check out your website and like.
Are you
know who
taking with
are.
clients?
Yes, I am. Yeah. So it's a application process. So I don't take on everybody, but as part of the assessment process, but regardless of which, whoever applies is going to be directed towards some vehicle. So I don't leave anybody high and dry, but I got everything from, recommended books or other practitioners, or simply just getting on the right foot for whatever they need.
Awesome.
Perfect.
And website?
strengthbeyondbody.com.
Beautiful.
Thank you.